Hi, my name is Alan Holste. Welcome to this series that I've entitled The Case for Grace. I'm here in this very simple studio, shouldn't cause you any distractions. I'm here with my cameraman. His name is Herman. He's an old friend of mine. The operative word there is old. Little aged. Went to high school with Methuselah, I think. Okay, Herman, it was just a joke. Take it easy. You know, that thing about no distractions, that might be wrong. Anyway, the case for grace. The word grace probably tells a lot of you that we're going to be talking about Christianity and God and our relationship with God. Can't imagine anything more important than our relationship with God. All relationships are important, I understand that, or at least most of them. But the most important is our relationship with God. And let me define grace for some of you who maybe are wondering about that. Grace is, let's say there's a multimillionaire that you really haven't liked that much, don't get along with that much, have nothing in common, and this person writes you a check for $1 million, no strings attached. That's grace. All right? Unmerited favor, something given to you that you don't deserve. I'd like to tell you the reason that I want to do this. It's something that I read some years ago. Let me erase this. Herman, stop laughing at my eraser. Herman laughs at my eraser. Now listen, Herman, I've purchased the other kind, but when you do the cleaning, it just kind of pushes the color around, and my little handy cloth takes it off. Okay, Herman, are you satisfied now? All right. Anyway, where was I? Yes, that's right. I was talking about the study that I saw in about 2007. Study was done by the Barna Group. They're a group that looks at all sorts of things having to do with the Christianity, the church. I suppose they do other things too, but I know that they specialize in that. And in 2007, they did a study that showed, and by the way, I'm going to round these numbers, that they had it at 83%. Little time has gone by, so I'm going to round it up, actually this one down a little bit. I'm going to call it 80% instead of 83% of the people that they asked claimed that they were Christians. Okay, 20%, again I'm rounding, they had it at 17, said that they are non-Christians. And of these, I should say, 45% said that Christianity really meant something to them. The other ones, I guess, not so much. But here is something that I want to read to you. I find it so important that I want to read it word for word. And it's a comment by David Kinnaman, who is the man who directed the study. He said the study indicated that most Americans do not have a strong and clear belief, largely because they do not possess a coherent biblical worldview. That is, they lack a consistent and holistic understanding of their faith. My goal, I suppose this is a big goal for one little guy like me, but my goal is to show you what your faith is based on if you're a Christian. It's so important that you know what Christianity is, what it's built on, what the relationship should be like in order for you to relate to God. And out of this 20%, by the way, this 20% was people, some of them in different religions. Some of them are, they claim that they are atheists. And so this is kind of a mixture here. This teaching is for you too, because it's possible that you are a non-Christian and somebody talked you into it. Maybe you had a college professor that you really, really liked, and that college professor said, there's no such thing as God. Absolutely no such thing as God. Or maybe your parents never took you to church, or you just never considered it, and so you're a non-Christian by default. I think it's so important that you would learn this. At least you would be making a decision based on knowledge instead of somebody led you into something. All right, so I'm hoping that that makes sense for all the folks. I want to show you that relationships have rules. If I can say that, I hate the word rules. Probably you all don't like that either, but you can call them parameters, guidelines, whatever. But relationships have those kind of things. Let me give you an example. Let's take marriage. All right. All right, we're going to look at marriage. That reminds me of a movie that I saw some years ago. I think it was called The Princess Bride, and it had this scene in it where the guy who was the villain was forcing the lady in distress to marry him. And there was this great scene where the marriage is going to take place, and the first thing that you see in this scene is this kind of strange-looking priest, and the first thing he says when the camera comes on him is, marriage! And then even in that silly film, he starts to explain some things that are necessary for marriage. And so we're going to look at marriage. All right, let's just think of some things that are important in marriage. And by the way, for these parameters, whatever we're going to call them, the people involved have to agree on them, or there's not really the relationship that they think there is. Okay, let's say they need love. You would want love in a marriage. Forsaking others. Others. Honor. Forgiveness. Okay, what else can we look at? Obey. You know that obey used to be used years ago. Obey. That's not used so much anymore, and it's too bad. It kind of gave the service a little levity, a little comic relief. Let you laugh a little bit. I think I'm going to take that one off. Probably shouldn't have brought that up in the first place. Herman, remind me when we edit this to take that out, okay? All right, so let's look at marriage. We've got these. Maybe I'll think of more. A marriage, the two, you would hope that they would love each other. I have seen marriages where they're loveless and they're just awful. But anyway, if the two agree that they love each other and they're coming together because they love each other, that's really important. Okay, if one is faking it or whatever, I know another marriage where years later the lady told the man that she never really loved him, and I mean, it made a mess because he thought they had this marriage relationship where they loved each other, and it turned out no, made a terrible mess of their marriage. All right, let's skip down to honor. The way I see that word is you want to put the other person first. Each one in the marriage puts the other person ahead of themselves. That's honoring. All right, if you get a marriage and it turns out that one isn't really interested in honoring the other, that he or she wants all the attention and wants everything to go his or her way, that just kind of sucks the life out of the relationship. And it's not what the person went into thinking, and it ends up being bad. Okay, now, actually that could go another direction. Maybe if they're codependent in some way and one of the persons likes to give up everything all the time, then maybe it works that way and each one understands it. But if they both understand it that way, they have some guidelines that work for them. Okay? But I'm saying this is the way it should be. All right, forsaking all others. That's a biggie. If they both at the beginning of the marriage, they're saying, we're going to forsake others. And then one breaks that and starts messing around with somebody else. That's a mess. And this forgiveness thing is about the only way that that's going to recover. And even at that, that's going to make it very difficult. Oh, for something else I should have put up here. Is trust. Trust in a marriage is important, and this is going to make trust very hard. Even if there's forgiveness, trust is going to be difficult to come by. Okay, so do you see that in order to go into the marriage, they have to have an understanding of what the guidelines are, what the way they want to work this marriage, in order for the two to get along long term and have a relationship. All right, let's look at another example. In this example that I just gave, both parties were at least thinking that they understood what the other one was going to use as a guideline, but there could be situations where it's never been talked about. Let's say we have a young man. That's his nose, in case you're wondering. That's his ears, and here's his hair. Okay, that's our young man, and he has a girlfriend. Here's his girlfriend. Okay, and she has more hair than he does. She's a girl. Okay, and here's her nose. What's that, Herman? I guess I did give her kind of a big nose. Boy, that's some schnoz that girl has. Oh my goodness. Well, you know, I feel bad now. I should give her a better mouth than he has. Herman, do you know if we have a red marker here somewhere? Something. Here's a marker on the floor. Oh, that's a green marker. Oh well, we're going to have to give her a green lipstick. I'm sorry, but I don't have anything else. So there she is. Ay, 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 poor girl. Tell you what I'm going to do. Because I feel bad about this, I'll give her eyelashes. Okay. All right, so here's the situation. These two are dating. And we have our guy here. Down here we'll put the parameters of what they think the relationship is. We have the guy here who looks at her and says, wow, what a woman. Boy, with that snaz, I don't know how you could say that. But anyway, he says, what a woman that this is. I want to marry her. Right? He's going to marry this woman. And he's thinking in, you know, by way of a ring. He's got this ring. That's the diamond for the ring, of course. And he's got in mind a house, you know, where they're going to live happily ever after. That's the front door. There's no windows on that house. Anyway, this is what he has in mind. And now the girl, on the other hand, is looking at him and saying, maybe not so hot. You know, the guy's a little plain, and she'd like somebody else. And so she's thinking, you know, maybe we need to date some other people. And so she's thinking that she's going to date Henry. No. She's going to date Herman. I'm giving you a girlfriend, Herman. Okay, she's going to date Herman. Easy, Herman. I know you don't like that schnauzola she's got. All right, so Herman and Bill and Pete. She's going to date them too. Now what, Herman? Now, Herman, you're jealous of these two. Come on. Give me a break here. All right, so do you see the problem that's going to happen here? They have this thing where they've dated a couple of times, and the boy is infatuated with Miss Schnazzola, and so he's got all these plans of marriage, and she has the other thing. They don't really have a relationship because they have not agreed on anything as far as how they are to relate to each other. And so, old boy here, he comes, and he comes with the ring, and she says, you got to be out of your mind. I'm not ready to marry you. When did we ever talk about marriage? And so that's not going well. And so she says, I'm going to be dating Herman. I'm going to be dating Bill. I'm going to be dating Pete. Now, I'll date you along with them, but I want to see who it is that I really want to marry. And she says to him, you know, in the meantime, you could be going out with Jill or Sue or Samantha Jane. And he starts thinking, Samantha Jane, not a bad idea. And so now they've come to more of an understanding. They're going to date each other, and they're going to date some other people, and then as time goes on, they're going to see what happens. So for now, this is nix, and we'll see what happens in the future. Now they have changed. They understand each other. They have a real relationship. Maybe not what he wanted at the beginning, but now they have a relationship. By the way, Herman, before I erase this, I think you ought to get a close-up, because this is really some fantastic artwork, I think. In fact, I'm going to put a big smile on him. All right. Don't get too close to her, Herman, because if she sneezes, she's going to destroy the camera. All right. Now, here's the problem. Problem is, there's God, and there's me and you. I'm just going to put you up there because you're the important person here. There's God and there's you. And God has some ideas about how this relationship should go. He's got some things here. And if you don't know what he has here and what he expects of you, you have very little of a fix my mouth. You have very little of a relationship that's going on here because you don't know what's going on. The fact is that he has things that he wants to do for you, and he has things that he expects you to do for him, and he has things that he expects you to believe about him. Mostly it's that second thing. He has things that he expects you to believe that he put in the Bible and that he set up as ways of having a relationship. And if you don't know them, there's not a whole lot going on between you and God. And so my point, my goal is to show you what God set up when he set up Christianity, what that looks like, what kind of picture is painted. It'll be better than that girl was. What kind of picture was painted there, and what you can expect, what God expects of you, and then you can have a relationship. You can say, this is what I want to do this because this is God. If you're an agnostic or you don't believe in God at all, that you can make an honest choice. By the way, this is free. I'm not going to charge extra for this. There are a lot of people that are atheists. I'm not so sure they are. I haven't known a lot of atheists. I've known a few, and one of them, I have to admit, he lived out his atheism. He was an atheist. He said that there is no God, and because there's no God, nothing matters. And he was correct in saying that if there's no God, nothing matters. And so at an early age, he bought a bar, and he basically drank every day and died early because his liver gave out. But at least he lived the way he said that he believed. I know another guy who said that he was an atheist, and then he would brag to me how good he was. Why? There's no point. If you're an atheist, there is no point. And so I'm trying to show you a reason to live besides just showing you the relationship with God. I'm trying to show you why there's a relation. Fix the teeth again. Why there is a reason for you to live. Why a relationship with God makes you have a reason to live. Okay. There's an interesting joke, by the way, that this atheist would tell me. Knew him for years, and again he told me the same joke. It was this guy who was on a rooftop, on his own rooftop, because there was a flood that had come into the area, and the flood was coming higher and higher. And as it's getting higher, there's a guy that came in a motorboat and said, "Hey, you better jump in here. This flood is getting out of hand." And the guy said, No, God is going to help me." So the boat went away. Another guy came in a rowboat, and he said, "Hey, you better jump in here because this water is getting higher and higher." And the guy said, No, God's going to help me." So he went away. Another guy came, he's in a sailboat, and he said, "Hey, you better jump in. The water is up to your knees, and you're not going to last there much longer." And the guy said, No, God is going to help me." Well, the water went up, the guy died, he went to heaven, and he asked God, "Why didn't you help me?" And God said, "What are you talking about? I sent you 3 boats. Herman liked that one. Okay, that's a strange story to be telling again and again from somebody who said he was an atheist. So please, if you're an atheist, stay with me and look at this. If you're a Christian and you don't know what these are, you don't know what God has set up and what is expected of you and what God wants you to believe. And believe me, it's for your benefit. It's not a negative thing. It's very positive for you. If you don't know that, that God loves you and it's a positive thing, stay with me. Okay? Okay, he's giving me the old hand signal that the memory card on the camera is about to run out, so I'm going to turn the camera off and recharge that and start a new session. All right, so Herman, go ahead and turn it off. Herman, you want to turn it off, please? Herman, I have nothing else to say to these people. Would you turn it off, please? You forgot how to do it. Okay, Herman, it's this little button over here that turns it off.